Okay, that cut out on me, so I just deleted it. Okay, so if you were on the other one, I apologize. I'm going to go through this again. I'm going to try and keep it shorter. So I was doing this post. I was going to do this post, right? And I figured I'd just do a video. So, good morning. And the post was, I wrote it down so I could remember it because it's a picture. Life will only change when you become more committed to your goals than your comfort zone. It originally was dreams, but I've seen them with goals in there. So that's what hinders a lot of us. A lot of us struggle with different areas of our life. And a lot of times it's because we don't want to, we have this little bubble and it's comfortable. And if we step outside of it, it gets uncomfortable. And so we stay inside this little bubble. And until we can get out of that mindset of staying here and being comfortable and moving out here and making a change, whether it's comfortable, not comfortable, or whatever, we're going to stay stuck. And the reason for this is what I was going to write, because I've seen this. None of these are like directed at anyone in particular. So don't think I ever direct it at anyone in here in particular. If it helps you, please take the info from it. But I see this in so many other groups sometimes. And it's usually the same patterns. It's the same kind of being stuck, so to speak. All right, so for example, and this is comfort zone. This is you being afraid to get out of your comfort zone and doing something different. So, all right, let's say your child, and I've seen this hundreds of times, the same exact thing. My child is having a birthday party. All right, and this is somebody who's trying to stick with their 100% on plan because they know eating that cake or whatever is going to throw them into a downhill thing, because then they're going to eat the rest of the cake later that day, kind of thing. But let's say your child is having a birthday party. And this is the exact thing I've heard from so many people. Why do you want to hurt my child's feelings by not eating the cake? Well, guess what? This is the reality check. Your kid is not, most of them, there will be some, but most children, they don't care if you eat that cake. They're not going to get their feelings hurt because you didn't eat the cake. And most of the time, they're not even going to notice you didn't eat the cake. They're too busy with their friends or with their presents or eating their own cake to notice you didn't eat cake. Same thing with going to other people's birthday parties. I've, heard this. People's like, well, I didn't want to hurt the host's feelings by not having any cake. Do you really think it's going to hurt the host's feelings because you didn't eat cake? They're too worried about the party. They're stressed out probably about the party, making sure the party goes well, Unless they're like individually handing out pieces of cake, they're not even going to notice that you didn't even take a piece. Or even if they are doing that, all you got to do is take the piece and go sit it down somewhere. But in reality, it's your way of thinking. You're thinking they're going to get their feelings hurt. So you don't want to do anything different, which is moving outside your comfort zone and not eating it. When in reality, they probably wouldn't even know you never ate it. Same thing with like office gatherings. When people bring in all kinds of food and stuff and you can't eat it and everything. And then I see people say, well, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I had a little bit of everything. And then that kind of made them feel bad. So then they went off on the deep end and ate bad the rest of the day, ate bad the next day, felt guilty. That spiraling kind of downhill thing when you do things like that. When in reality, people aren't there to like govern your eating. If you're in there socializing, you know, you could have like a cup of water in your hand or whatever you're drinking, and you're doing the socializing. Most people aren't even going to notice you're not eating. You know, there are those few that do, but I mean, who cares what they think? And kind of, oh, here's another big one. I hear people all the time say, well, my husband or my boyfriend or my kids won't eat what I'm eating, so, you know, I don't want to cook twice, so I just eat what they're eating. Well, why do you do that? I mean, most of the stuff that, I mean, people cook, let's say it's tacos or nachos or pizzas or whatever, you can make a healthy version, and a lot of times they won't even know it. Just slowly tweak it or whatever. I get it if they're used to eating greasy hamburgers and french fries all the time and drive-through all the time, then they're going to notice it. But here's the reality. Here's another example. All right, let's say you just had a heart attack, or you're, you know, diabetic. Let's use the diabetic one. All right, if you're diabetic and you know you cannot eat certain foods, like that cake or those donuts or those pies, or, you know, whatever foods trigger your sugar to go sky high, you're going to stay away from those. And you're generally not going to think twice about it. And you're not going to care what people think. You're just not going to eat it. You know, if you just had a heart attack, you know, you're put on a dietary restrictions, and you're going to stick with that. Let's see what else. If you're on certain medications and you know you can't, I know there's some medications where you can't eat certain things or you can't drink alcohol. Well, you're not going to think twice. Most people aren't going to think twice about not partaking of that because they know what it's going to do to them. Like a diabetic, you know, their sugar goes high because they ate that cake or that pie that has, you know, 56 grams of sugar in it. They're going to feel bad. They're going to, you know, whatever happens when your sugar goes up and things like that. So why would it be any different with your health and your fitness? There is no difference. We perceive it as being different. That's the problem. We perceive it as being different in our heads. So we think everybody else is seeing the same thing. When in reality, most people could care less what you're doing. They don't care that you're eating that salad and they're eating a greasy hamburger. Now, you do have those that will make jokes about it and say something, but that's because they're uncomfortable with it, because a lot of times they know that they should be eating healthier, or they're wanting to lose weight, but they don't have the dedication to order that salad instead of that hamburger. But my thing is, when it comes to our health and fitness, we tend to stay in this bubble. We don't want to move out of it and be different and look different, because we don't want to be the only one not having cake. We don't want to be the one eating a salad when everybody else is eating hamburgers. But that's because it's a comfort zone in our mind. It's not really anybody else's, you know. We think they're thinking things when they probably aren't. And I kind of got off on the tangent over here, sorry. Because I don't do notes. I don't have notes. I just kind of go with what I'm thinking. So my thing is, you have to move out of this comfort zone. You have to change your thinking to be able to start changing your habits. So, you know, if going to, because some people, I see them, they go to birthday parties every weekend with their kids. Or every other weekend. They have such a big social life. And you have to change that way of thinking of, oh, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by not having it. Think of it, well, you're going to hurt your feelings if you partake of that. If it's not in your plan to have that piece of cake, if it's not, say, you're treating yourself that day, and you know that's going to hinder you, or because you're going to parties every weekend and you're eating lots of cake and other things, you need to start looking at it as hurting your feelings, as hurting yourself. Don't worry about what other people, they can put on their big girl panties. If it hurts their feelings because you don't have a piece of cake. But you need to start thinking about yourself. You need to think about your feelings. How is it going to make you feel? Is having that cake or having that pie or having all that stuff at the gathering, how is it going to make you feel afterwards? Most people feel bad. Not just physically. A lot of times that makes them feel sick and sluggish and awful. But how is it going to make you feel mentally? Is it going to make you feel guilty? Is it going to make you feel like, oh my God, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. Now I feel bad. I'm going to have to start all over. You know, all that stuff. You need to start thinking how it's going to make you feel. Forget what other people think. How is it going to make you feel? So anyway, I'm going to cut this now. I know it got kind of long. I have to go work out, drink my Energize and go work out. But that was my little tangent in my head this morning that I wanted to come say to you. And, you know, this, like again, I said, this wasn't directed at anyone in particular. It's just some things I see in other groups that people are always saying, and it's always the same things. They worry about what other people think instead of how they are going to feel. So anyway, start putting yourself first. Start thinking about how you're going to feel. And y'all have a great day.